Hi, welcome to my video. Hi everyone, welcome to this video. If you can't tell from the hoodie and how disheveled I look, I am sick, so there's gonna be probably some sniffles throughout this video, unfortunately. But you know, we'll get through it. Basically today I am going to talk about a costume that I made, which was an Edward Scissorhands costume for a friend's birthday party. So I'll be talking about my process because it was completely DIY'd and it wasn't the best. I didn't make everything from scratch. Like, you know, I had belts and I had a instead of like a full leather top, I had a black turtleneck on as the base for it. So it wasn't completely handmade, but you know, it was still a made at home costume. So I'm just gonna share my process for it and hopefully share some insight into DIYing and you know, hope to maybe inspire some of you. Maybe not, because I know there are a lot of better like cosplayers than me, but this is my process. So we're gonna start with number one. Draw the design that you want. You know, like obviously do your research, look up the photos, look up anything relating to the character, watch the movie they're from. Like in my case, I went back and I watched Edward Scissorhands a few times, like a good few times, you know, to see how the character, you know, like how he moves, how he stands, kind of method acting in a way. Go back, watch the video, look at their like costume design, draw it out, because then you get to see all of the elements for it. Makes it a lot easier to find what you're looking for as well. The second thing that I did was go to the op shop or the thrift store for any Americans watching. Op shopping has been the number one way to get what you want for cheap. You gotta go to the op shop. The op shop is where the heat's at. It is where the heat's at. So I ended up walking away. Like I had to go visit probably 5 different op shops to find exactly what I wanted. Went to all of the ones in my town. We ended up finding a leather bag that I ended up cutting up and using for things later. You'll see. And I ended up with 15 belts. The ladies volunteering that day were a bit. It was weird. It was really fucking weird. But yeah, so we walked away with that. I was also looking for boots because Edward does wear boots, but I ended up not being able to find any like kind of goth shoes, because like if you have a look, he kind of has these, you know, like gothic shoes on that you could like probably get from, I don't know, like Demonia or, you know, like a different place like that. I didn't end up finding any, so I used some platform creepers that I had, which were kind of falling apart because they're from one of those goth brands, and they're like, the shoes are really good, but the quality is shit. Next thing I did was I started. Woo, don't turn off on me. Don't turn off. The next thing I did was start making all of the elements for the costume. So I ended up making his belt buckle myself, like just out of cardboard. I hate working with cardboard. I absolutely despise cardboard. I for my 21st birthday, I made a Barbie box, like a life-size Barbie box, and it was shit. Like I put everything into it and it was terrible. Like, but I did it this last time, like I always say, I'm never going to be Santa again, and then I work with cardboard again. Like, it's just how it happens, folks. Yeah, I ended up doing that. Then I painted it with I don't know. I just painted it with silver paint. I went and I traced over the details just to like make it pop a little bit. I'll put a picture up here of what the finished one looked like. Yeah, it ended up okay, surprisingly, and it didn't get damaged when I was transporting it to the So like the party was in a different city, like 8 hours away, so I had to transport all of this on the train. All of my costume in the one bag. So yeah, that was really special. Really special. I also made the codpiece as well. I did the design on the cardboard and then I just cut it out from that template. It actually worked surprisingly well. Like, weirdly well. I was not expecting it to work that well, but it did. After that, I pretty much started sewing all the elements on, and because I am not great at sewing, I hand sewed my entire costume because I am a freak. I am a freak. Um, so yeah, I ended up doing that. The sewing of the belts to themselves was probably the most painful experience of my life. Like, it was bad. It was so fucking bad. A lot of them are really tough, so I had to use a pen to push the needle through. Um, that was quite interesting. Um, it was very painful, but it actually, like it worked. It ended up working, which was great. The costume actually fell apart when I got to the location. Like, when I was putting my costume on in a friend's bathroom, it just started falling apart. So we had to get his roommate to go and buy me safety pins. Because guess who forgot their safety pins? Turns out I am actually so sorry. I can't remember his name, but I'm so sorry to that dude. But when I got home, the safety pins were in my bag the entire time.
You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
So painful. But yeah, so I had to get the roommate to go out and buy me some safety pins because I had no safety pins, which was lovely. Part of it was just sheer luck that it didn't fall apart. It was very, very, very difficult to get in and out of. So I tried not to do it as much as I could. I had to reposition the straps a lot. Like, a lot. It was really bad. I made my scissor hands, which was the most exciting part, once I knocked over everything else. Yeah, I ended up hot gluing my scissor hands, which was great. So they were just pieces of foam that I had cut out into the shape of scissors, and then I hot glued it to some gloves, some black gloves, and it was really spindly. I was actually so stoked, and then I painted each one grey, and I made the little like finger, what do you call them? Like the finger holes for the scissors. Made those, and I painted them red, I believe, from memory. I think it was red. That was the best bit, except they kind of got a little bit squashed in transit, but that's okay. I just straightened them out. And then they piece de resistance. I trialed the makeup. It was an interesting experience. I sent a couple of photos to some people and freaked them out. They were like, "What the fuck are you doing now, Elsa?" It's always something with me, like, it's always something. But yeah, no. So I did the makeup. Turns out I was doing it wrong when I looked back at the photo of Johnny Depp. So I redid it. I couldn't get the eyebrows right, which was an experience. Um, but we got there in the end. Definitely got there in the end. Um, yeah. So then after all of that, I packed up all of my costume into a Woolies like shopping bag. I packed all my costume up into a Woolies shopping bag, and then we got on the train, and we got there. We stayed for one night at a friend's house, and then the next night, got ready for the party that we were going to. It was an experience. I kind of walked out with all of my makeup on, and yeah, that was a bit. It was a bit freaky for everyone in that apartment. The hair was a very interesting part of it. I used my own hair, which was about this short at the time. It was a little bit longer. So I ended up just kind of pinning it on top of my head like that with bobby pins, and then I sprayed it with black hairspray to keep it all in place. And it actually did stay in place for the majority of the night, which was really good. Um, wouldn't recommend washing it out though. It was a very painful experience. Like 0 out of 10 would not recommend. I had to use like a lot of shampoo and conditioner, a lot. Like I probably triple shampooed my hair and then conditioned it, and then there was still black stuff on my scalp for like a week after. So honestly, probably use a wig. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit croaky. I'm like a little froggy. But yeah, so then that was it. That was the final look. Oh, I forgot to mention, I also bought leather pants from the op shop as well, which was an incredible find. Honestly, the leather pants were an incredible find. Um, they ended up fitting so well. I did accidentally bust a hole through the bum of it at one point, but I ended up patching it up, which kind of like it was a very obvious patch, but it kind of added to the look as well, so I wasn't too worried about that. So that was my final look, and it was stunning. Like it actually, despite falling apart on me and being a DIY home costume, I was probably the best costume there that night. I'm calling it. I was the best. I was the coolest. Like there were some really really cool costumes, but I was the coolest, and so I got so many high fives from drunk people that night as well, because it was we went out to like, the middle. We were in the middle of the city. And so yeah, and it was a Saturday night, so there were a lot of drunk people around, and it was really funny because one of them I accidentally scared one of them, and then one of them sounded like they were trying to chat me up, but like I was just like scissors, scissors. So it probably freaked them out a little bit, but that's okay. But yeah, I got so many high fives from drunk men. They were like, "Hey, Edward, woo!" It was like, "Yay, yeah." Um. So yeah, it actually ended up okay, but I was so happy to get it off in the end. Like it was not the most comfortable costume ever. Like it was actually so difficult. It was so difficult. Yeah, so that was my process for making scissor hands, and I hope to actually wear this costume in the future. It did fall apart a little bit, so I'm gonna have to remake it a little, but I think it actually ended up really nice. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and I'll see you next time.